Hey everybody, welcome to the video. So I just want to talk a little bit about how difficult would it be for a person in the 4th century to rewrite church history. So here I am in the year 2024. Let's say I want to rewrite history and get people to believe that, let's say, Peter caught 5,000 or 2,000 fish in 1 month. And what would it take to do that? In the year 2024, it'd be impossible. You have the internet, you have the printing press, multiple copies. It would be impossible to do. But how difficult would it be in the 4th century? Alrighty, so here's an article by Catholic.com, what the early church believed Peter Roman residency. Okay, so they quote all these people. Notice the year. The earliest was 110, 170, 189, 198. Okay, so not one person they quote is from a first-hand perspective. They weren't there. Alrighty. So how difficult would it be for Eusebius to rewrite history? Okay. So here he was, in the early 4th century. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces you have to modify. Alrighty. So keep in mind, they did not have multiple copies. Okay. Now scriptures, however, there are multiple copies. Okay. That's a whole different story. So the level of difficulty to modify scriptures the way you want is extremely difficult back then, even back then, let alone today. Alrighty. We have translations, okay, but to go and really change the text, you're gonna get caught. So how difficult would it be for Eusebius to change 8 pieces of text? He could, in the name of translate, and then some of the original pieces goes missing. Did that happen? Yes, with Irenaeus, right here. We do not have some original. Gee, how did they go missing? What happened? I don't know. That happened. It went missing. What are the chances of that happening? Just some dog ate it. How difficult would it be to take his writing, for example, Ignatius? Ignatius of Antioch definitely was modified. It points heavily to Eusebius because he was a bishop himself who was considered a heretic. So it makes sense that he would modify Ignatius, and you see evidence of that, this strange obsession of bishop. So how difficult would it be to completely rewrite and destroy the copy and say, oh yeah, this is the original. Well, so how about we have a long, short version of Ignatius of Antioch? Gee, why is that? And that could be a layer of protecting the originals by saying, there are 2 different copies. Gee, I don't know how that happened. And destroying the originals and focusing the attention on 2 different discussion between a long and short. That's a way of masking it, the focus on where the originals go. You see what I'm saying? It's distracting the attention. And there's only 7 that have been accepted. The rest of the writings have not even been accepted. I have not looked at the ones that are accepted, but I'm reading the ones that were accepted. There's definitely evidence. But how difficult would it be? All you have to do, like I said, just make another copy and destroy the original, and people won't even know it. Unless they already read it. Then somebody might spot them out. But at the same time, you had an emperor who's willing to kill people, not for his agenda. He murdered members of his own family. How difficult for him to murder somebody who's going against the grain of his agenda. I'm not saying that Constantine had that agenda, but Eusebius was doing the work for him to try to define an orthodox view of the relationship between church and state for Constantine. That you have this Christian government, and at that time the church and state were merged together. There was no separation. Alrighty, so you only had 8 pieces based on this. How difficult would that be? Not difficult at all. All right, having said that, it says here, but historical evidence reveals that this assertion is untenable. In his first epistle, Peter tells his reader that he's writing from Babylon, which is first century code for the city of pagan Rome. Well, who came up with that idea? Eusebius, right in his writings. I go over this in my video. He's the one that made that claim, oh, it's a metaphor for Rome. There's no way that this could be code for Rome, and here's why. If we look at the map, remember, Peter is writing to these 5 churches, alrighty, hinting at their gathering. So he mentioned them, 1 Peter 5:13, greet Mark. So Mark was in Alexandria, Egypt at the time, alrighty. So that means they would have traveled in their boat all the way to Mark, alrighty. Now, there are only 2 Babylon on the map at the time. There was Babylon, Egypt, and then Babylon, Iraq, which is over here, okay. The people knew, the Jewish Christian knew he was not referring to Babylon, Iraq. He was referring to Babylon, Egypt. Egypt was considered a safe place. Egypt spoke the language of Peter. Rome did not. Rome spoke Greek and Latin. Peter did not speak Greek or Latin. Not only that, but at this time they wrote, this is in 66, the year 66, Nero was emperor at the time. Alrighty? So, he was murdering Christians. Rome was considered the most dangerous part of their known world at the time. Why would he have them go here and then let's go get yourselves slaughtered? This was in the year 66. Makes no sense. But if you're referring to Babylon, Iraq, or Egypt, they were gone here. And then, of course, Peter then would have escorted them to their final place, which was in Petra. And this is where Ezekiel 37 was being fulfilled, where the 2 sticks become one. So you had the stick of Joseph, where the Jews have been scattered throughout the Roman Empire, and then the stick of Judah, where the Jews who were in the temple, or at the temple and Jerusalem, okay? So how do they become one stick? The stick of Joseph travels first. Okay, this is in the year 66. When Peter wrote this, it basically telling him time to go. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 1, you are scattered, hinting at time to go. He could not spell it out for them. Hey, guys, it's time to go for your gathering, because if he did that, it would risk the persecution following them under Neronic persecution, okay? The Gentile following them. He had to do it very subtly. That's why Peter only mentioned Babylon. They were able to figure out which one he's talking about, okay? And so, so those who would have let us go with it for a moment. Oh yeah, it's code for Rome. They would have gone off to Rome, kind of go after them. Well, they're not there. It would got also probably Babylon, Iraq, which was actually on the map, and they're not there. And so it was a way to help, in a very quiet way, get them to their destination where they need to go. And that's why you had Mark first, acting as so this way, if somehow they got followed, they would have had a plan. Peter would have been able to escape, and eventually they would have met up with Peter if there's Roman Navy following them. Okay, that's why he had to go to Mark first. Just think this through, the logistics. Okay, and note that Mark is over here, not in any of the water channels over here, because you had Roman army, the risk of the Roman army coming over to destroy the temple. Peter knew this 40 years or 36 years prior in the Olivet Discourse. Alrighty, he knew the temple was going to be destroyed, so that's why Mark would be way over here in the far west water channel. And so, yeah. So anyway, it makes no sense to claim this was Rome. There's no evidence of that. Peter was not using metaphorical language. There are times he's using the Old Covenant language, which makes sense because Galatians chapter 2, verse 7, the apostle of Jews, he's writing to Jews, he's writing to Jewish Christians. It makes sense that he used Old Covenant literature. He's writing to the Jewish people. It makes perfect sense. Alrighty? And there are hints along the way that he was not writing to Gentiles. I have that in some of my other videos. So, anyway, and you think through the logistics. Now, keep in mind, the Basilica was not built until the 4th century. All to fabricated to deceive the people into thinking that Peter was in Rome. Alrighty. At the expense of the people. They paid big bucks for that, I'm sure. It's all part of centralizing power, church and state, merging together. Alrighty. Billions of people have been fooled. So anyway, but there's and not only that, but going back to what I was saying about Ezekiel 37 being fulfilled, so the stick of Judah left Jerusalem, they've gone around to Petra this way. The stick of Joseph, Peter, gone by boat, and would have boarded here in this way. And in Revelation 12, we talk about how the flood and the earth split. Petra has a history of flooding. The earth split. See right here. And so they became one stick. Now, Eusebius claims that, oh yeah, they went to Pella, which is over here. This makes absolutely no sense. And then he claimed that, oh yeah, Babylon was Rome. So that means the stick of Judah went over here, and the stick of Joseph went over there. Ezekiel 37 never fulfilled, and the verse in Olivet Discourse, Luke 21, where all scripture fulfilled, wouldn't then no longer, then could not have been fulfilled, which makes Jesus a false prophet. Do you see why we have to exercise discernment when we read church history? And why Eusebius, why I recognize this guy is not a credible source, and you should go along his path. Unfortunately, take for example Ed Stevens, very sharp guy. He was able to solve the lawless one in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. He also was able to solve when the canon was complete with clothes. I also solved that myself too. But he solved the lawless one. Unfortunately, he relied too heavily on Eusebius. The credibility of Eusebius is just not there. So he believed Eusebius about going to Pella and that they fled before the war even started. That is false. You read right in Josephus' writing, first-hand eyewitness, and I figured out the date when they actually fled. The stick of Judah was Thursday afternoon, April 10th of AD 70, which is perfect, because that will allow them time to make the Petra before their Sabbath day, Saturday, and they would have rested. And the stick of Joseph would have been the one that prepared a place for them, so they could rest. So John 14, remember Jesus said, "A place prepared for you." Now in the Greek, it's dwelling place. Unfortunately, in the King James, it'll say mansion. That is a horrible translation. When it comes to eschatology, the King James is not a good translation. Maybe some other categories and topics, but when it comes to eschatology, heck no, it's a horrible translation. Many passages. So anyway, I hope you see here the problem. So anyway, going back to what I was saying, how difficult would it be for Eusebius to modify just a piece of text, and then I don't have it with me, but I have the book Ecclesiastical History by Eusebius, and I have the videos where I go over book and chapter where he is lying and he's trying to rewrite history. And so many people have been fooled across the spectrum, whether you're Orthodox, whether you're Protestant, whether you're Roman Catholic, across the spectrum, people have been fooled by Eusebius. And that's why it's so important to exercise discernment. And having said that, let's go to Ephesians 2:20. Having been built on the foundation of the apostles, prophets, Jesus Christ himself being the cornerstone. Do you notice it did not say go by church fathers, build the foundation, church fathers, build your beliefs on them? It does not say that. Note the past tense, built, past tense. So at the time Paul wrote this, it was complete. Just around AD 63. It's possible that all the written text at that time was complete. The foundation was built. There's still oral tradition going on. Okay, it's possible, but even if it's not, you still had the oral tradition at that time. The apostle, okay, you still had some apostle alive, so forth. So anyway, so the bottom line, we have to trust what Paul said here. Having been built, past tense, the grammar here, on the foundation of what? Apostle? Where do you read that? The Bible. Prophets? Where do you read that? The Bible. Christ Jesus himself? Where do you read that? The Bible. Okay? This is sola scriptura, I'm sorry to say. All right? So, anyway, oh, my alarm's going off. So, anyway, the point being is not too difficult to do it, and Eusebius has been busted. I wish this man was alive. I'd be able to confront this man. Why did you do this when the evidence shows this? And I would have busted his chops. I mean, if he was alive, I'd be going public, mad, this guy, calling him out, pointing fingers at him, ridiculing him for lying to the people. Massive deception in church history, who has fooled billions of people. Not millions, it's billions with a B. So anyway, I can tell I'm a little emotional about this. And what's sad about this, well, what's the big deal about this? Believers are not able to see the full, complete story of the redemptive history of the Jewish people, the house of Israel. And that's partly why there's so much confusion today, because of the modification history like this, what you're seeing right in front of your very eyes. They're not seeing. And so as a result, you have a whole bunch of people repeatedly over and over making God look like a false prophet over and over and over again. Doesn't matter whether you're Orthodox, Roman Catholic, Protestants, you have everybody in those, or people, sorry, in all three of those camps who make God look like a false prophet. So that's partly why it's a big deal. And so then the atheists and Muslims are like, well, why should I trust this Jesus guy? Alrighty. This has created massive amount of confusion. Fooled even the smartest of people. People that are way smarter than I am. Alrighty. So again, how difficult would it be to modify history? You just got 8 pieces. And of course, these people here are just quoting, just like you have been fooled. And again, look, not one single person was a first-hand eyewitness. And even that, how difficult it would be to fabricate a first-hand eyewitness claiming that Peter was in Rome, or Peter caught 2,000 fish in 1 month, like my example I gave earlier on. So anyway, it's just something to think about. So, okay, a bit to digest. So I will leave it at that. And thank you very much for watching, and hope you have an awesome day. Thank you.